In this video, I'm going to be going over the top 5 fishing mistakes I see from beginners. And for number 1, there's a lot of people I see that aren't even beginners that are still making this mistake. Starting off with number 5, putting too big of line on your reels. And this mainly goes for spinning reels. You see, the thing about these spinning reels is that they're really not made to put big line on there. Since it's a spool, and big line tends to spool off and almost jump off the reel. I see a lot of people that'll use this. About the biggest line you want to put on here is maybe 30-pound braid and 12-pound mono, but I see a lot of people trying to put 20 and 25-pound mono on these. And it's about like a big cable almost. Long story short, that really doesn't work out. You do not want to put line that's too big on your fishing reel. It just causes big problems. I made this video right over here talking about how to pick out fishing line that actually fits your reel. Number 4, and it's actually fishing the wrong time of day and the wrong time of year. So time of year kind of depends on where you are. If you're in Florida, you can fish year round, no problem. Say you're out here in Kentucky, well, you can fish spring, summer, fall, but winter time, the fish just ain't gonna bite for you. And you know, that's just how it is. And the more north you go, the even less they're gonna bite. So coming out here in January and trying to catch a bass with a summer topwater, probably not gonna catch a fish like that. Pretty universally, the best time of year to fish is gonna be spring, summer, and fall, but also the time of day. I see a lot of people going out and fishing right in the middle of the day, like 2 p.m., blistering hot, the sun's straight up. Now, just like winter, you can catch fish that time of day, but it's not the best. The best time to fish during the day is gonna be early in the morning or late in the evening. And the closer you can get to each of those, the better. Typically, once it gets really hot and the sun gets up, the fish kind of turn off. And they kind of just chill during this time of day. On to number 3, your fishing lure is too big or too small for the rod you're throwing it on. And this is really important. It will drive you crazy if you're doing it wrong. And you won't even know why until you know. So on 99% of fishing rods, you're gonna have little words right here on this. And this actually tells you a lot. It tells you the power of the rod, which is how it bends. It also tells you what pound line you can use on the rod, kind of what I was mentioning earlier. But it also shows you lure weight. This one happens to be 3/8 ounce to 1 ounce lures. Now, if I went out here and thrown a 1/8 ounce lure, it would go terribly wrong because this rod is so stiff that throwing a little lure just doesn't really work. And it kind of makes you look like a fairy. But fairies don't catch fish, and we don't want to do that. And this is especially important with bait casters, because if you're throwing a really light lure on a bait caster, it really doesn't go, and you get a backlash. Now, if you're getting a lot of backlashes, you need to watch 2 videos. I made one video where I talked specifically about how to remove backlashes, and then I made another video on specifically how to cast a bait caster. That'll tell you a lot of things if you're getting backlash. Same for spinning rods though. If you put too big a lure on a small fishing rod, to where every time you cast, your rod is like bending like that, that's a little bit too big. All right guys, now we're getting into the good stuff. Number 2 and number 1. There's a big old bass right there. I'm gonna try to catch you. Hold on. Y'all may get a little bonus right here. I'm gonna try to catch this thing. Y'all may just get a bonus right here. If I catch this fish, I'm calling it a bonus. Number 2 is just like John Wayne said. All right, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. What I mean by that is some people sit in one spot and fish the same spot every single time for hours. They'll sit here and they'll fish this one spot. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's bad. On the contrary, some people will not stop moving. They will throw it in, let it sit there for 2 seconds, pull it back in, then walk around, then do that, then do that, do that, do that. That's good and that's bad. It all depends. But as a rule of thumb, if you're using bait, if you're using something that's gonna draw the fish to you, say like you're using chicken liver if you're catfishing, you're gonna throw that lure in, you're willing to wait, you're willing for a catfish over there to smell your lure and to come over to it. Maybe you're looking for that cruising fish to come and find it. That's a time when you're using bait. Say you're even using a live minnow. You're throwing it out there. You're letting that minnow do the work and you're hoping for it to draw in the fish. Boom. If you're in that situation, sit still, be patient, take a seat, get you a rocking chair. I don't know, but be patient and wait. You don't want to throw it in there and then pull it right back out and throw it out there and then pull it back out and throw it out there. Just pick a good spot, pick a good cast, throw it out there, let it sit. On the other hand, if you're using lures, which is where you are pretending to be a little fish, and this mostly goes for bass fishing. If you're standing right here and you fish that lure, bam, 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 and you don't get a bite, it's good to move. All right. Once you feel like all the fish in your vicinity has had a chance to see your lure, go ahead and move. Go ahead and walk, move on down, do the same thing. Go over to that rock, go bam, 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 bam. Go ahead and move. Bam, 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 bam. Go ahead and move. Because a lot of times, there are bass out there that just don't want to bite a lure. And that's because they're not hungry. So what do? You move. A lot of times, covering ground's the best thing you can do. You get up, you make sure all the fish right here have seen your lure, then you move on and show a new bunch. Then you move on, then you show a new bunch. When I'm bass fishing, dude, I'm like hardly ever sitting still. I will fish and I will slowly walk as I fish. If there's a nice bank, I will cast, make that cast, I will slowly walk. Now, if there's something points of interest, say there's that dock there, there's those rocks, there's this thing, there's this dock, I'll stop and I'll make more casts to them. But as a rule of thumb, if you're bass fishing, you don't want to spend 30 minutes making the same cast. Maybe you spend 3 minutes making this casting right here, but then go ahead and move on and see if you can use an active fish. But like I just mentioned, if you're catfishing, throw it in, let it sit, because you're waiting for the fish to come to you. Now, boom! Number 1 tip that I see people doing all the time wrong will be coming right after this honorable mention. Ooh, got you there, didn't I? What is an honorable mention? I don't know. Patience, I guess. And also just realizing, hey, if you don't catch a fish, that's all right. Low-key, here's another honorable mention. Comparing yourself in the middle of nowhere, Illinois, to professional bass fishermen in Texas and Florida. All right, here's the thing, guys. Texas and Florida, they're just the juice, okay? There's more bass down there, and they're bigger. So if you're watching a YouTube video of somebody down in Texas, they're just slaying the bass, and then you go out to a random pond in Illinois and you catch 2, that means absolutely nothing, because you can't really compare yourself too much to those people. Keep that in mind, because that's what I did. I'd watch these professional fishermen, and I wondered why I couldn't do it. Maybe because I'm fishing Gary Pond. There's just not that many fish here. That's a really good possibility. But now onto the number 1 thing that I see people doing all the time, and it actually hurts because they will never catch a fish doing this, and it's using a bait or a hook that is too big for the fish. And I'm mainly talking about bluegill, which stinks because that's what you fish for as a beginner. Let me show you. All right, maybe I can't show you. If you're fishing for a bluegill who has a mouth about the size of your fingernail, but you're using a hook this big, guys, you will not catch that bluegill. As you can see, your fingernail can't even swallow the whole hook. And that's a problem because, I don't know how to explain this, guys. If his mouth can't get around the hook, you cannot hook him. Another thing I'll see is, say someone does have the right size hook on. Maybe they have a bluegill hook, which is smaller than your fingernail, but they'll put a bread ball on there that big. And then the bluegill can sit there and nibble all around it and not actually bite the hook. You don't want to do that either. What you want to do is, no matter what you're fishing for, you want to make sure that your hook is small enough to fit in its mouth, and you want to make sure that your bait or your lure can also fit in its mouth. Because if it can't fit in its mouth, you're going to have a hard time catching it. And this could go for catfish too. Say you're trying to catch a channel catfish with a mouth that big, but you're throwing an entire chicken breast. That really wouldn't work that well either. Now, people never do that for catfish, but people do the equivalent for bluegill all the time. When they throw a big old bread ball for a bluegill that big, he cannot fit that in his mouth. He cannot eat it. And one thing to always remember, big hooks can catch big fish, but small hooks can catch all fish. So I typically always use small hooks, because if I use a small hook, I can catch all the different sizes of fish. But big hooks can only catch the ones that can fit in its mouth. Hopefully this helped. Hopefully maybe you learned something from it, or if not, maybe you can help somebody else learn from it. I don't know. If you want to learn how to pick out fishing line, click this. Clear here if you want to learn how to tie a really good fishing knot that does not come untied, or right over here for some more really good beginner fishing videos.